Hi, this is Bim.
And this is Nichole.
And we want to thank you so much for selling out our very first live show, which is
Thirst Aid Kit, The Quenching.
Yes. What a ridiculous, wonderful name.
I love it.
But listen, if you didn't get tickets, please fear not. You can stream the entire show live on February 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time by going to thegreenspace.org, and that's green spelt GREENE.
You can watch the whole show live or catch it on replay. Pour out some wine, thirst along with us.
Yes. Again, that is February 12th, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can also catch the episode in the podcast feed later in February. Chris wraps his hand around my and as he tightens his grip to use it to pull me closer, I see his bicep flex. He lowers his head slowly, tilts it to the side, never taking his eyes off my Is that for me? He asks. I bite my lip and nod wordlessly. His is and Hi, Nichole.
Hi, Bim.
Oh my God, I'm so pleased to see you.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm
so
it.
Giddy already.
I'm very, very giddy. I feel like this is in many ways, not just because it is in fact our season finale.
Right, yeah.
It is hella special. Very special. My love is all I have. Woo! Yeah. Anyway, no. All jokes aside. Oh my God, this week we are talking about my bae and your bae and the world's bae.
Yeah.
The jewel in Marvel's crown. That's right. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Captain America himself.
Yes.
Mr. Chris Evans.
Yes. Come through, Chris. We love you, Chris. We crush on you, Chris. We fancy you, Chris. You're such a lovely boy, Chris. We love you, Chris. We love you so much, Chris.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but not only are we talking about Chris, later in the episode, we will actually be talking to him.
Talking to
him.
Talking to Chris. And more importantly,
he says our names.
He talks back to us. We're not just talking to a poster on a wall. We picked up the phone and we spoke to Mr. Chris Evans. Mr. Christopher Evans, if you will.
If I had to have a drink with a superhero, maybe Batman. Maybe Batman. I mean, he seems kind of like he's a real chill guy. Like he's not going to be an obnoxious drunk.
That was actual Chris Evans' actual fucking voice.
Real live voice, like deep and in our ears, as much as it can be, okay? We talked to him because we wanted to know what it's like to be thirsted after, to have thousands and millions of people crushing on you.
Yeah.
To be a real live fucking heartthrob.
Yeah, like an actual dreamboat, like made flesh. We wanted to kind of just figure out if he walks around with, like, you know, the burden on his back of being a hottie, you know? I mean, well, listen, I carry that burden too, so I could understand it, Chris.
It's
I
no
get
burden
it.
to me.
Hey. Woo! And on that note,
welcome to Thirst Aid Kit.
Nichole, can I ask you a question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
When you think about Chris Evans, do you prefer him hairy or not hairy?
Harry, all the way.
There was no hesitation.
No, none. Harry, as I have revealed over the course of the season, I like
hair.
Yeah,
I know you do.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy a bald dude, but when it comes to Chris Evans, I much prefer when they let him like it's some kind of divine rule. But when he's in a role and he has chest hair, it just makes me very happy. I smile I smile like it's like my chest hair. I'm just like, oh, that's great.
When you go back and look at like early photo shoots of Chris, he has chest hair, he's got hair on the belly, the little treasure trail.
Oh my God. He has really nice forearms as well. And they look good with a light dusting of hair. So I enjoy that very much. So shout out to you and your hair, Chris. Good job. So that we've established that we enjoy a hairy Chris. So it's odd to me that the most famous iteration of Chris, aka as Captain America, there's nothing there. It's smooth.
He's smooth as a baby's butt. It's fine.
I was going to say, it doesn't hurt.
Right.
But God, imagine Cap with like
Yeah.
just a mini pelt.
Yeah, just a little dusting.
A little dusting.
Yeah.
Just something to just run your fingers through.
Yeah. I'm also very curious about Hollywood grooming in general. Like, why do they think that men need to be hairless?
Yeah, the manscaped look.
Yeah.
Because Marvel does that for pretty much all their superheroes except the Hulk.
Yeah.
Which to me is fine. I think it's actually a throwback to the actual comics in which Superman never had hair on his chest. You know, Batman, all these dudes, like they're men who don't have hair. And that seems to be the thing when we're translating that from the comic book onto the screen. It's kind of like, all right, everyone manscape.
Right.
This is me just positing a theory.
Yeah.
But I think the removal of superheroes' body hair is a way of kind of going, you can project everything good on this clean, plain canvas.
That's why it was so distracting when Henry Cavill as Superman had chest hair. Like he kept his chest hair. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And it caused quite a ripple through my Twitter timeline and social media. So I just think, let them be hairy.
Yeah, and I think if we then move on from like the chest hair, hello, to God, to actual hair, head of hair.
Yeah.
So Chris Evans as Captain America,
Right.
is in fact a blonde.
Right.
That is not his natural color, and I don't very much enjoy him as a blonde.
Neither do I.
And I love Cap, obviously, as a superhero, of course, as embodied by Chris Evans, of course. But the blonde thing really jarred me.
Yeah.
I love brunette Chris.
I love dark-haired Chris Evans. I
right.
mean,
You have to use that voice on me.
it just it moves me.
I can tell.
I think also that's more, his truer self.
Yeah.
There are other attractive hair and eye combinations. It doesn't always have to be.
You sound like a really creepy person buying a doll. I want a different hair and eye combination.
I mean, yes.
Sure.
I mean, as a Black woman, I'm so used to seeing you need to have blonde hair, you need to have light colored eyes in order to be considered attractive.
100%.
And I reject that. And when I find myself being attracted towards someone who has blonde hair and blue eyes, I fight it tooth and nail. I'm telling you.
I love how this is what gets you exercise. A blonde, ugh. I think it's about the societal structure that suggests that this is the epitome of attractiveness, because that is not true. But it's something that has been kind of sold to us over and over again. The idea of blondness as a signature for kind of innocence and for purity is absolutely a thing. And I think when we're talking about humanizing everybody, we have to kind of move away from idealized versions of perfection.
Yeah.
And that is undoubtedly locked in to flaxen hair and light colored eyes. So I can understand your resistance to it.
So when we see the trailer for the upcoming Avengers movie,
I had a visceral reaction to that trailer.
My
that Infinity
gosh.
War trailer. I saw it, and without even meaning to, I was twerking at my desk. And I work in an office, so I got a couple of looks, but I didn't care.
Chris Evans as Captain America steps out of the shadows in Wakanda with the beard and the dark hair. It's a little highlighted still,
But he's let it grow a little bit.
Yes.
And that beard is sitting right. And the jaw is looking tight.
Girl. Oh, man, what an entrance that was in that trailer.
He steps out of the shadows, and I'm like, yes, step out of the step out of the shadows.
And it's also like, what does this mean for his character? Because usually that tends to signify a darker, wiser kind of move. So I'm very intrigued about what's going to happen with his character.
Yeah, well, this is kind of like, people are saying that it calls back to the character of Nomad, which is this kind of alternate reality, or at least an alternate identity for Captain America. And that was kind of introduced, I think, in the 70s, where he basically kind of goes off a little bit. And the hallmark of the character is he is this kind of slightly dark, he has the beard, he's out there, in the wild doing whatever he does. But essentially, it's when he abandons the Captain America title and he goes off to be his own man. And I guess that's part of the reason why he gets to grow a beard. Maybe he grew some chest hair at the same time. Who knows? But that's who Nomad is. And so I think that's what, when he emerges from the shadows in the Infinity War trailer, I think, all right, I think it's a reference to Nomad. It could be. And I think that's a very interesting way. If he's going to be leaving the series, then this is a really interesting juncture for which, it would provide basically a whole new world in which Cap could live on outside of, the embodiment of Chris Evans. So I'm just excited by the fact that, like I said, we've established that hair is important to us, and seeing him with a beard, fighting full pelt alongside people in Wakanda, looking just like the promise of God's love. Wow. I was taken aback by how wonderful. But to see it as kind of like sanctioned by Marvel is actually incredibly thrilling.
Yeah, and I wonder if he kind of fought for that.
Because you suddenly think, what the hell happened to Cap in those years?
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
I want to, while we're talking about the possibility of no more Captain America films with Chris Evans, I want to go back to this Variety profile from 2014, March 25th, 2014. And it talks about Chris Evans says he's ready to leave acting behind. And when that first came out, it was a little jarring because we're firmly getting into Chris Evans as Captain America. What does that mean, for his career and all this kind of stuff. And it's also where he comes out and talks about his anxieties and the things that he wants to do outside of Marvel and things like that. And again, there's lovely photos of him with the dark hair and the dark beard.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated him talking about what he wants to do and talking about the anxiety he feels as a celebrity, as someone who has, just shot up into fame a certain way.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you bring up the idea of the vulnerability that he kind of talks about in this interview, because I wrote a profile of Chris, like we're pals, me and Chris. I wrote a profile of Chris Evans in 2016, and it was called Chris Evans' Version of Masculinity is What We Want Right Now. It was really about Chris as an avatar for American masculinity, but also, as we've mentioned before with Cap, this idea of someone that you can project ideals and ideas onto. And in that piece, I kind of am exploring who he was. I mean, I first watched Chris Evans when I was younger in Not Another Teen Movie, which I urge you, if you've never seen any one of those spoof movies, this is the one for you to watch. It's very, very funny. He's very funny, which is another thing. I wish he would do more comedies. Yeah. But Marvel has him just on lock right now. I feel like the minute he is free of that, I hope he'll stay acting. I hope he will do more comedies because I think he's actually a very gifted comedian. Anyway. And I'm talking a lot about the fact that he is very much the boy next door, except, hotter than the boy next door. And the fact that he is like the star who also retains like a real kind of down-to-earth quality about him. I think a lot of that is down to the fact that he's from Boston, which is very kind of like, a mid-sized American city. It's not LA, it's not New York, it's Boston. Yeah. And that somehow is in keeping with this idea of him as quote unquote real. Like he's like this real boy who you might have known growing up. He's like this guy who I think is very normal. He also does these very stereotypically like hot boy things. Like he likes dogs. And he loves his mom, and his best friend is a woman, and all this other stuff where I'm kind of like, oh my God, it's like he was made in a lab. It feels almost like a formula, but you also get this distinct feeling that it's very genuine. He seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Right. In that profile, I think that was a major turning point for me because, again, I recognized this is a conventionally attractive white guy, and I wasn't like super moved by it. But when I read the profile... and then I saw Winter Soldier. I was like, yes, okay. Because I needed to see that he was not Johnny Storm. He was not Human Torch from Fantastic Four.
Although Johnny Storm has his charms.
Yes, but he's also kind of a bro. And
he's very much a bro.
I am not a bro lover.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So when I read that profile and then, Chris was making those, doing some interviews, again, just talking about his vulnerability, I was like, okay, let me see that you're actually a real human being. Yeah. And those characters, you're just getting those characters because that's what people expect of you.
Yeah, and that's what you look like. No shade to beautiful Chris. It's very much the case that he looks like a dude who enjoys sports, and he does. Yeah. And one who would probably be quite obnoxious in a bar. Right. Lots of booze and kind of like team sport yelling.
Right. But Winter Soldier.
Listen. So first of all, it's my contention that Winter Soldier actually is the finest superhero movie we've ever made. I know people disagree, and let me tell you now and forever, your opinion is entirely unwelcome to fuck off. That's a fact. I just told you that Winter Soldier is that, and accept that me, a superior culture writer, I have told you that. Believe it. It is so good, and it works as a standalone. It works very much as, part of a whole narrative, but as a standalone movie, and I'm not just saying this because I really enjoy Chris Evans's personality and character and whatever. I do believe that in that film there is a culmination of talent and just storytelling, and the two are married together so well that I watched that movie the first time and I was like, wait, I think I just saw something perfect.
Yeah. Again, around that time, he was talking about, he didn't want to do any more Marvel films. He wanted to move on to something else in his career. And you can kind of see Chris Evans like, this is my swan song. I don't give a fuck anymore. You're going to get everything that I have as an actor, as a physical performer.
Yes.
Incredible performance.
So let's talk about the physical performance. I'm actually, the sweat's prickling at my underarms.
We're both like pulling our shirt away from our pits because it's real.
I am so sweaty right now.
The
Apologies.
elevator fight scene.
Listen. Elevator scene.
Yes.
So I was recently on a work trip, and in the hotel room, I turned on the telly, and this scene was on. And even though it was way past my bedtime, I was like, well, I have to watch this whole fucking thing now.
Of course.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Does anybody want to get out?
Fam.
Man.
I want to get in. Jeez. What? He uses his body very, very well. It's all economical movements that kind of suggest and portray the strength that Cap is supposed to have. Like, it's very good acting.
Right.
Like, fight acting. Yeah.
And it's all very sexy. But one of the things that I've noticed is we don't really see that kind of similar choreography when he has a love interest on screen.
What does that mean, Nichole?
I want to see his baby making choreography.
Oh
I want to see more
Sorry, Chris.
more physical intimacy. And I think, it's interesting because we get to look at him a lot, admire him as a beautiful specimen of a man, whatever.
Congrats. Good
He
job,
does
Chris.
get some kisses in, but there have been very few movies where you get to see him in action in another way.
Sure. I wonder how much of that is that he doesn't like doing that sort of thing. We've discussed this. There are actors, people have like modesty clauses and so on. And that's obviously his prerogative. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah, of course.
But I also just think that part of this is Marvel has eaten up so much of his time.
Yes.
So I wonder if post-Marvel, if he chooses to remain an actor, he will do more roles in which, he is out there doing stuff and things.
It's just interesting how he remains this kind of object to be looked at.
Yeah. But I think that's also part of which may explain some of his own discomfort, I think, around his celebrity. Because Cap is inevitably, the whole point of Cap is, yes, he's a good man and a hero and so on, but he is someone who was very scrawny and then was given the super serum and became this emblem of American strength and, goodness and all this stuff. And I do think about the fact that even when they inject him and he becomes Cap, right? When they open up the chamber and he's got like that fine sheen of sweat on his incredibly enlarged torso.
Yes. And
Like,
Agent
everyone's
Carter.
just, Haley Atwell's character, Agent Carter, has got her hand and it's kind of like, oh, no, can't touch, but I really want to. Ooh, And I was like, same, same, Mrs. Carter, same. But what I do think about is, I wonder how much of the fact that Cap's character is so tightly wound with the idea of hyper masculinity. Like, he is like the epitome of that. And I wonder how much of that is Chris kind of going, I don't really enjoy getting my tits out, actually. But I do think that, we don't have a lot of him doing a lot of kind of like romantic, sexual, like love scenes.
Right.
But I do think that there is another element of that sexiness that comes out in his photo shoots that he does to accompany various pieces that have been written about him, interviews he's conducted over the years and so on. And the one that I want to talk about most especially is a shoot that he did in 2004 for Flaunt magazine.
Yes.
And it was shot by a photographer called Tony Duran, I think. And they are a lot.
They are very
They're very sexy.
They're very sexy.
In a very obviously, capital S, sexy way.
Yeah.
In my opinion. There is a very female gaze to these photos, which is very much setting up Chris as an object to be looked at, to be desired. But it's also kind of like designed to make him look very comfortable. So there he is on his sofa playing video games with, bare feet, which is obviously a mark of vulnerability. He's got, he's got his top off. In all of the shots, he's not wearing a top. His face is very open. I mean, this was, like I said, 13 years ago. So he obviously is younger. It looks very, very much like you caught him off guard. Like it's meant to be. It's a very kind of lady pinup thing, basically. What I also would like to kind of talk about, when we talk about him being very much blue collar looking or very kind of like American man looking, and I've mentioned before, and I kind of spoke about this earlier in my piece, he, I think, embodies the idea of normal. I've kind of said boy next door and so on. But there are all these other things that I think, when it comes to projecting what we think Chris Evans is like, I think we go for actually surprisingly mundane, very quotidian things. We want someone who seems like they like us. I don't mean like us and find us attractive, but actually don't actively hate women. Chris Evans doesn't seem like he is a horrible closet misogynist.
Right. He appeared on Anna Faris's podcast, and with obviously Anna Faris and Jenny Slate. Well, they talked about how good of a friend he was to them. And it was so endearing, so sweet. Of course, he also talked about some things like, he's an ass man. And
shout out to you, Chris.
And things like how he has sent dick pics before, which was, very human.
I mean, what is more American male than that? Anyway.
Yes.
I love very much also, I mean, we've kind of spoken a bit about, well, inevitably a lot about his Marvel movies, but you want to talk about his other roles.
Yeah. I want to talk about Snowpiercer, which came out in 2013.
That is such a good movie, and not enough people talk about it or know about it. It's actually maybe possibly my favorite Chris Evans movie.
It's so good. And he has a beard.
Oh, a great beard. Although his face is very dirty.
Yeah. It's just, it's really one of the times that you really get to see him acting,
Capital A acting.
Yeah, and I think he did a really good job of his performance. I mean, we're just going to go like really quickly through some of like the non-cap and non-superhero performances. I also liked him in Playing It Cool, which is it's a nice little rom-com.
It's not a nice little rom-com.
It is.
It is.
It's too much of a rom-com. Okay,
it's not great. It's not great, Bob.
But I thought it was very sweet, and I like watching it.
He's very charming in it.
Yes,
he's very charming in it. The rest of the film is not very good. God bless you, Chris, but no.
Right, it's all right.
One of the movies I love Chris in actually is one, again, very, very small role, but actually kind of almost entirely steals the movie, and that is playing Lucas Lee in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
He is so funny. He does this amazing quirk of an eyebrow, and every time I see even a gif of that eyebrow quirk, I laugh so hard. He is so good, and that's what I mean about him doing more comedy. I think he's actually a very gifted comedy actor, and I would love to see the perfect script come along and just make him do like full pelt 100% comedy, because I think he's very good in it.
And the next film I want to talk about is his directorial debut. Him behind the camera, he's in front, he's also starring in it.
Of course he is. What a multitasker.
And it is a film called Before We Go, starring Alice Eve.
Okay.
I would like to see more of what he can do as a director. And I know that's something he's talked about.
Yes, that I want to see. I definitely want to see more, because I do think, and this is the thing, and I wrote this as well back then, and I believe it now, Chris, I think, is a very talented man. And I think it's about finding the right vehicle and the project that exploits his talents best, whether that be behind the camera or in front of it. I do think that he has a rare full likability. If he's meant to be playing a likable person, you get the full beam of his charm.
Right.
A good example of Chris Evans' charm, I think, was in the movie Gifted, which came out in early 2017. And he basically plays, this man who is an uncle to a very, very gifted child, the brother of essentially a maths prodigy. And it's kind of like a custody battle. And he's so good in this movie. And I came out of the movie and I remember saying to people were like, oh, what was Gifted like? And I was like, oh, this is not a diss. but it's so much better than it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he is very good in it. He also stars his by now frequent collaborator, Octavia Spencer, who, of course, is perfect. She's always good in everything that she does. But he is also a revelation. Like, he plays a sensitive kind of like, dude who wears like a Henley, which is, as we know, catnip. And he's just looking nice. And he seems like someone who, when he gives you like emotion, you're like, oh no, I get it. This guy, Frank. Yeah, I get it, Frank. Like, this thing is tearing you apart. He's great. And he has insane chemistry with everyone that he's playing alongside. But most importantly, he has insane chemistry with the woman, the actor who plays his mother. Who is Lindsay Duncan. He and Lindsay have this incredible chemistry that is just kind of like crackling on the screen. And it made me think, because I came out of that movie and I was like, oh my God, the chemistry there was insane. And I posited on Twitter a potential movie in which Chris is in like some kind of romantic drama in like a May-December romance with an older woman. And for that older woman, I want that to be Angela Bassett. I think it would be amazing. Chris Evans, Angela Bassett, May-December romance, maybe somewhere in New York, perhaps Chicago. Just somebody write the script. I'm ready to throw money at the box office. Let's make it happen.
And we would be remiss not to talk about Chris Evans' woke bae personality. And that's not to dismiss the things that he's done, but he seems very aware. He's very conscious and of the things that are going on in the political landscape of the country. And, he does it in such a way that you're not mad at it. I had a tweet that said, I wouldn't invite him to the cookout necessarily, but I would FaceTime him while I was there.
Fix him a plate to deliver later.
So I have a quick clip from Chelsea Handler's Netflix show. It's season 1, episode 3. Where the cast of Captain America have come to dinner and they're talking about inequality in America. And Frank Grillo, who played in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he played Crossbones, one of the bad guys that Captain America has to fight. Frank Grillo talks about how Italians are discriminated against, and Chelsea Handler comes in and she's like, yeah, but also black people. And Frank Grillo at one point puts black people in quotation marks and air quotes, little bunnies. And Chris checks him a little bit, so I'm going to play that for you.
Somehow, women are not quite where men are.
Well, neither are black people. I mean, there are so many
Italians.
people that that's not a big issue for us as Italians.
Or Italians.
Okay, we've got to get out Italians.
Can we throw Italians in there with black people?
No.
Why did you feel the need to put quotations?
I don't know.
So,
look at Bay.
Not to give cookies for the bare minimal.
No, never. I don't bake cookies like that. But I do think it's important because I think that there is a substrata of people who don't respond to criticism unless it's coming from a source that they can recognize and view as an equal voice. And I think it is imperative that in situations such as the one that occurred on Chelsea Handler's show, when a white man says some shit, I think it behooves the other white man in the room to call him on that shit. So for that alone, I appreciate him not sitting there and smiling gamely, but kind of going, what the fuck, dude?
Yes, that's very important. Yeah. White people need to call each other out on their shit.
It's not every black person's job.
Yes. Thank you, Chris Evans.
Only for that. Like, if only for that alone, I would fancy you. Okay, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. I have prepped my chair. I have got a glass of water. I am ready. But it's coming up after the break, so you should get your water too. We're going to be back with the one, the only, Mr. Chris Evans.
Man.
Whew.
Support for Thirst Aid Kit comes from RX Bar, a protein bar made with 100% whole ingredients.
Whether you like sweet or savory or chocolate or fruit flavors, there's an RX Bar for you. RX Bars are gluten-free, soy-free, and dairy-free.
Plus, they contain no artificial colors, preservatives, fillers, or added sugar.
They also come in 11 different flavors, including 2 that we have right here, peanut butter and mixed berry.
What should we try first?
I think the berries.
Okay. It's good.
Should we try the next one?
Yeah.
I like this one.
Yeah.
I like the peanut butter a lot.
I think I prefer the mixed berry, but I'm not mad at the peanut butter.
Interesting, because I much prefer the peanut butter. We didn't even script that. Isn't that lovely?
For 25% off your first order, visit rxbar.com/thirst and enter promo code THIRST at checkout. Once again, for 25% off, Go to rxbar.com/thirst and enter the promo code THIRST. Now we have something very special for you.
Hello.
Hi.
We love you guys so much that we conspired to have Chris Evans call us during his lunch break from the set of one of the last Avengers movies.
Kind of chaos here on set. We're in the final week of filming these Avengers movies, and everyone's just scrambling.
Luckily, we got all of our own inappropriate thirsting out of the way before we talked to him. But just hearing his voice, the timbre, just like that laugh, that little giggle. Yeah.
That was special.
Well, we won't keep introducing. Let's just get to it.
The first thing we're going to mention, truly, because we have to, is the Cap beard.
Right.
You said that like you knew what we were going to ask.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but people fucking love the beard.
Well, that's good. Because I really like it too. I mean, I usually live my life with a beard. I'm not a huge fan of shaving, and it provides a little bit of anonymity at times. And I was really excited that the Russos and Marvel were willing to kind of give that look a shot. I think it's cool. I think it just changes things up. We've seen Cap the same way so many times. He's such a throwback. He's such a classic. It kind of gives him a little bit of a modern vibe.
72% of trailer chat based on the trailer was because of your beard. Like people kept looking
really?
People kept looking at the trailer because of your beard.
I don't know if you know that, but now you do, and now you can't unknow it. Yeah, shout out to your beard. It's done some real work. You should pay it a separate check.
Hey, I wish he were here to thank you, but sadly he's been shaved.
Oh, damn it.
Aww.
Okay,
yeah, it's
sorry.
a bummer. Don't worry, I'll get him back real soon.
Thank you so much.
Wait, how long does it take you to grow that beard?
It actually grows pretty quick. Luckily, I think I can get a pretty full beard in maybe a month, maybe 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Congrats on your speedy growth. Cap is basically, in many ways, the jewel in the Marvel crown. Like you said, he's a classic. He is the guy. He's literally named for the country. I'm trying to think about how far he's been disseminated. So he's gone in people's lives in a way that is really kind of there. They're on screensavers. Cap is, on people's phones. He's on wall posters. He's in people's lives. And I just wonder, do you ever think about the incredibly diverse amount of fantasies that people kind of project onto that? The idea of Cap as this good, upstanding American, figure. What kind of... I'm trying to basically think about how people react to the character, which has become so synonymous with you over the last several years.
Well, I guess luckily for me in life, I don't think for some reason I don't think I really resemble myself the way I look on film, which is kind of I typically when I run into people if it is kind of explained that I'm the actor who plays that character, the typical response will you get this kind of cock-headed look, and they just go, "No, you're not that guy. I just saw that movie last night. That guy's bigger. He's taller. He's better looking." Right? Like there really is a disbelief at my actual form in reality, and it's kind of a blow to the confidence, but I guess it does kind of help me get through crowds. So I guess I don't really have people coming up to me as often as you think. When they do, I suppose it's. It's really nice if you have to play a character over and over again and really kind of be a part of this big cinematic chapter. It's nice to play a guy that has those kind of moral traits and has this kind of sound moral compass that you try your best to maybe take home with you at night. When you're in that headspace all day, it's nice. It's a lot nicer than playing a villain. It's a lot nicer than kind of dwelling in the darker parts of your head for an extended period of time. So I feel lucky that I get to kind of, in any way, share that kind of good nature.
But do you ever get that the longing to play a villain, to kind of try to be a different a person in our pop culture atmosphere?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's why I'm going, after we finish this, I'm going to go do a little run on Broadway, and the character that I play is not a good person.
Right.
And that's very different than doing a film, obviously. It's I guess I kind of don't know what to expect. I've never done a Broadway show before, but I imagine it's a challenge for a number of reasons, and I think that challenge will only be exacerbated by the fact that it's a really dark character. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to go. I'd be lying if I said I weren't scared, especially because I play such a vile character. It's not like my character is. I doubt that I'll be feeling the warmth from the audience. If anything, it's going to be a detestable reaction, which, like I say, it's a strange dichotomy to kind of, you want the audience to hate you. The more they hate you, the better you're doing your job. My drama teacher in high school told me a story about a performance of Othello. I think it was in Texas a long time ago, where the character who playing Iago, someone in the audience stood up and shot him. He didn't die, went to the hospital, but in the hospital said that it was the highest compliment he could have been paid. So,
wow,
not looking to get shot.
No,
but if people walk out of the theater really just hating me, then I think I've done my job.
Can you share with us the title of that Broadway play and the role that you'll be playing?
Sure. The play's called Lobby Hero. It's written by Kenneth Lonergan, and I play Bill. He's a police officer and not a good man.
All right,
that's a great way of closing that out. We're gonna kind of go back a little bit because obviously a couple of years ago you posted that cover letter that you wrote to casting directors when you were 16.
Oh, right.
About wanting to be an actor.
Isn't that amazing?
It wasn't it? Good job, you.
So funny.
I mean, it's been clear that you wanted to be an actor fairly early on. But when did you realize that you were, and I apologize if this makes you blush, but when did you realize that you were hot, Chris?
Oh, man. Goodness. I still feel like I'm just trying to pull a fast one over on people.
Come on.
Please,
I don't
know.
Hey, listen, you don't know what I look like first thing in the morning. It's rough.
I literally haven't seen that, but I find that very difficult to believe.
Well, you're very sweet. I don't know. If you look back at some of my photos from childhood, it was not kind. I had a really bumpy road, and I think, like most of us, we still feel like that. No matter what happens, we kind of connect to that chapter in life when you first start exploring the feelings of kind of comparison and seeing, it's usually connected to when you start noticing the people you're attracted to. Somewhere around 9, 10, 11, when you first start coming into your own sexuality and kind of seeing how you stack up. That was probably one of the roughest chapters of my life. And I think for most people, you kind of stay in that kind of suspended state. I don't know. I guess, when I got to Hollywood, and you start going on certain auditions and you're like, all right, typically I'm playing a guy in a Letterman's jacket, and I think, I guess I fit a certain character type, but like I said, that is not how I feel
Right.
on the inside. I'm a pretty big dork, and God, everybody says they're a dork. That's such a stupid thing to say. I shouldn't have said it.
No, it is.
Don't beat yourself up, please.
No,
You
we're
know what
all
I mean?
dorks. Yeah.
I'm just a dork. Like, it's a stupid thing to say, but I really do have dorky tendencies. So I don't know. I guess. I suppose right when I started auditioning and you kind of see the pattern of things you're going out for, you're like, all right, I guess that's kind of the role I fit into.
Mm.
Well, looking back through your pop culture influences, who did you look to mold yourself after when it comes to projecting masculinity, projecting desire, projecting what those people you thought wanted you to be on screen?
Good question. You can take this or leave it, but I grew up in like the real sweet spot of Tom Cruise's career. I grew up in those late 80s when Top Gun and Days of Thunder, Color of Money, And then into the 90s with, The Firm and Mission Impossible and A Few Good Men. And just something about him just really, I just thought he was just the greatest. And I still do think he is just such a powerful presence on screen. So I always thought Tom Cruise was kind of like the pinnacle of what, a movie star should look and act like.
So Tom Cruise obviously is an inspiration that way. Did you have any posters growing up? Who were your pop culture crushes when you were growing up?
Pop culture crushes. I have been vocal about this in the past. I had a big crush on Sandra Bullock.
Sure.
Who else did I have a crush on? I had a little crush on Salma Hayek. And then, I had a crush on, like, Kelly Kapowski. I don't know if you guys know that reference.
Yes, we do. Yes.
The Big Saved by the Bell reference, And, I had an older sister, so she would watch shows like, 90210 and Melrose Place, and those things always seemed a little bit out of bounds for me or something. So probably, the whole cast of 90210 was just, they all felt like just older and cooler to me, and I probably had crushes on every girl on the show.
Yeah, fair enough.
What are some things that you are most objectified for? Like, what do you find that people are kind of like, oh, there goes Chris Evans's blank. I want that. What?
Well, maybe after this interview, sounds like my beard.
Yeah, mate. I don't understand how you didn't even know that. That's literally. I mean, again, not to put you on the spot, but I got text messages about your beard. I just want you to know that people are thinking about your beard. A lot of the time.
Can you tell us your grooming secrets about your beard?
Yeah. Do you use any shea butter in that beard?
No, I don't. It's so funny because I've had multiple people kind of try to push some sort of like a beard oil or something on me, and I was like, "What? Who is lubing up their beard? That's just gross to me." No, there really is no grooming. I just you comb it in the morning so you don't have those like kind of bedhead looks. But yeah, there's really not much grooming to it.
I want to move forward a little bit. I'm sure that you have heard about fan fiction about Captain America. Has anyone ever brought a specific fanfic to your attention? And if so, do you remember what it was about, or do you read any fanfic about Cap?
Like comic books?
Well, stories that the fans write, like they come up with their own worlds and ideas for what they want to see Captain doing, and so they write their own stories.
You didn't know about
I
that?
don't know that.
Oh, wow.
No.
My goodness.
Oh, okay. So listen, I can send you some links if you would like to read some stuff. But
Are they good?
Oh my God.
Oh, they're great. Of course, there's a lot with Cap and Bucky together as a couple.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. People love the idea of Cap and Bucky.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
End of the line, buddy. End of the line.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
of course. It writes itself. Yeah.
Right. It really does. There's also like some stuff with Black Widow. I've seen one with Cap and the Hulk, which was interesting.
Wow, that sounds like it could get kind of rough.
Yeah.
A little bit. A little
painful.
Yeah, well, that too.
I mean,
that's not always bad. But anyway, moving swiftly on. Oh God, I know. I can only apologize. Something else to kind of talk about, just to go back to this grooming thing. We wanted to kind of ask what you're going to miss. Now, obviously, you've been playing Cap for such a long time. What are you going to look forward to not doing anymore? Is it the dyeing of the hair? Is it the, letting that beard grow happily forever?
The chest waxing?
Yeah, I think it'll, to be honest, it's going to be nice to not have to go to the gym. It sounds so awful to say it, but, I'm 36 and we started these movies, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. So over the years, your body just goes through a little bit of wear and tear, not only trying to get in shape for the film, but then the actual filming, a lot of stunt work, you get banged up. So it's, and you never really want to completely fall off. When you wrap a film, even though you stop going to the gym, in less than, 6-7 months, you're going to be starting another film. So you always kind of got to keep somewhat of a foundation. I really wouldn't mind just not quitting the gym completely, but just kind of readjusting my workout to fit a 36-year-old body and not trying to carry around so much size and just kind of be more functional, I suppose.
Right.
Right. So I wanted to...
Oh, you guys sound so upset with that.
No, not at all. No.
Let me reassure you.
Yes.
From the bottom of my heart, no one is disappointed with that.
No, at all.
You've done sterling work thus
Yes.
far. You've earned your rest.
Yes, please.
Trust me.
No.
Just before we came in,
I promise I'll never let it go completely. I'm
No.
not gonna turn
If you
into
could just
Al
keep the
Bundy,
beard for
but-
me, that would be great.
You know what I mean? The gym doesn't matter. Just keep the beard. Just keep
the
that
beard.
going.
Okay.
That would be great. I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of sisters out there that have strong feelings for you. And I wanted to know, when will we see you with a love interest on screen that is a person of color? So that we can...
God, I don't know.
I mean,
Okay.
I feel like you've got a little clout now. Maybe you could make some suggestions
Sure,
for
if you start
people.
pulling those strings a little bit, yeah.
Just nudge a casting
God,
director or
mix
two.
That with the beard?
Yeah,
Oh,
listen.
listen, Chris. Listen.
If you did that, I just want you to know that the box office could be the strongest box office you've ever seen in your life, because I myself will buy several tickets, and I will implore every black woman I know to also buy several tickets, and
Listen.
together we could really make
All
something
right, I'm
happen.
going to make some phone calls. I'm gonna
Are
make
you
this happen.
familiar with the concept of Black Twitter?
No.
Okay,
Oh.
so Black Twitter is just basically the black people who use Twitter, right? And
It's a very hard concept.
yeah, part of the 72% of people that drove traffic to the trailer for Infinity War were black women seeing you and that beard, and you running, and you're like, your hair is flopping, and you're doing a lot in that trailer, sir.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, mate.
When you
Racist
step out of the shadows, have you seen the trailer? Do you know the one that we're talking about?
Yeah. I
Okay.
have,
And you
yeah.
step out of the trailer.
Yeah, the first
after-
reveal.
Yeah, when he's like, get this man a shield. And then
Yeah.
you step out. Listen. Sir. I just... it did a lot for the women in my friend group. Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Like I told you, text messages. And I was like, guys, I don't know Chris. I've just written about him. I don't know him. I cannot pass his messages on. And now today I can.
So if you could get a love interest that was a person of color, specifically a black woman,
Do you know?
I'm telling you, the ticket sales would go through the roof.
I'm all over it. I'm going to make
Thank
this
you.
happen.
All right.
Please,
That's all we
please.
ask. Thank you
And
so
when
much.
we break box office records,
Yes.
I can attribute it to you guys.
We'll take it.
Hey, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. I just got the 5 minutes. I got to run back into...
That makes sense.
Embarrassing to say. I got to run back into hair and makeup and get this face looking ready to be on camera. It takes a lot of work these days.
That's a lie, but you're very gracious. Thank you so much, Chris. This was an absolute pleasure.
You're so welcome. Nice talking to you guys.
You too.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bim, I can't believe this is going to be our last fanfic wars of the season.
Ooh.
But
I
yeah.
mean, I'm excited. The one thing that Nichole and I did say was that we were going to, whatever we did for the season, we were going to end on Chris Evans for the season. So I've known from the beginning that the final drabble, the final fanfic was going to be about Chris. But of course, it's difficult. Oh God! But of course, it's difficult to write fanfic when you have engaged with the person, because then they are a real person, and it's very, very hard to do. Nichole, I have no problem thinking that you powered through this because you always do. And I'm the person who's just kind of like, oh, I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, Nichole,
Yes.
are you ready with your drabble? Go, Nichole. Go, Nichole. Go, Nichole.
Chris comes into the bedroom where I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, staring into space, looking at all of my creative fears. He has a tote bag in his hands, clearly filled with goodies. It's the night of my first reading for my book. I'm nervous. My stomach threatens to betray me every time I blink. It's an hour before we need to leave, and I'm scared. Hey, he says, I got you a few things. He covers my hands in his and searches my face. He can see the upcoming panic attack melting my skin. I'm so proud of you, he says. You have a strong team behind you, including me, but your talent, your perseverance, your craft brought you here.
Oh, my God.
Tears sit heavily in my eyes, and he pulls me to his chest. I breathe in his freshly showered scent, sharp, a little citrusy, a little woodsy. Awkwardly, he reaches into the bag and pulls out a huge jar of cocoa butter. So you don't have to worry about Ash tonight, he
Yes,
says.
bitch.
He says, a smile curling through. Next, he brings out my favorite lipsticks and glosses, my favorite bottled water and snacks.
Wow.
I don't want you to worry about anything, his voice rumbles through me. He pulls out one more thing, a photography book with a strange-looking bookmark. It's the book of unreleased Prince photos by Afshan Shahidi that I've been wanting, but it was sold out everywhere.
Oh, my God.
I immediately sit up and start flipping through it. Chris pulls out the bookmark and shows it to me. It's actually a set of tickets to Minneapolis for dates in the middle of his own press tour for an upcoming movie. I look at him, my eyes big and questioning. I know, but look, he turns to me fully. His neck and face go splotchy red with a blush.
Oh, my God.
Now he's nervous. When you get through this book tour, he says, we'll go and have a special tour of Paisley Park. I've already arranged it. It'll be a nice break for me, so you have to make it through because you'll be helping me too, okay?
Fucking hell, mate.
He picks at a corner of the plane tickets. He's worried he's done the wrong thing, and my anxiety shatters from the force of his love breaking through. I jump him, pressing kisses all over his face and neck while he laughs and squirms beneath me.
Yes.
Between his chuckles and return kisses, he reminds me we have to get ready to go. Make me late, I say, reaching a hand down between us. Make me late.
Fucking hell, mate. Make me late, is it?
Yes.
All right.
Double entendre up in this bitch.
Oh, my God, I hate you. I feel... Wow. 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 What a wow. Oh, my God. All right. Okay. I'm going to wipe down my armpits. I'm sweating a bit, bro.
Yeah, I'm sweating beneath my bra. All right.
Oh, my God.
Bim, are you ready?
Mate, how could I be? You just finished the sentence with I'm sweating beneath my bra. How am I supposed to be ready, bruv? Oh my God. All right. So I have to say this. I reached for a number of stereotypical Chris things. For example, the Yankee candle that was apparently made to smell like the idea of Chris Evans a few years ago.
I had no idea.
Mate, I will send you a link. I will put the link in our Tumblr too. And I also kind of added elements of, this idea of him being a very vulnerable person. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to also telegraph the respect that I feel for him as an actor and an artist, especially now that we've made contact.
Right.
Like I said, we don't ship real people, but shout out to Chris, the Chris of this fiction, who I'm sure is, very much based on the real Chris, who was a delight. Let's be very honest about that.
Right.
I'm so embarrassed by my own self. Okay, let's begin. This is my drivel. We drove up to the cabin early in the new year, determined to be off-grid. Work would soon get crazy for the both of us. I'd be embarking on my book tour, and he'd be filming down south and across the border on new projects. We'd decided that the first week of the year was an indicator of how the rest of the year would pan out. And what was better than the momentary absence of loving but boisterous family members, quiet, cozy reflection in front of a crackling fire, and consuming adult beverages, among other activities. We'd lazed around most of our first 24 hours in the cabin, but on the second morning, I woke up to the thwacks of splintering lumber, and a quick look out of the window brought an objectively good sight. It was Chris, in a shearling jacket, bringing an axe down on some wood, a sheen of sweat giving him a glow. It had been a cold winter so far, and not even love could make me be out there unnecessarily. But still, I could make myself useful in here. The reward for hard work is hot chocolate, and since we're adults, it's hot chocolate laced with something a little strong to ward off the chill. In minutes, Chris was back in the cabin, laden with firewood, nose tipped pink, a panting dog alongside him, carrying his own contribution, a single stick. I gestured to the steaming mug on the table with a socked foot, alpaca wool, an early Christmas present from Chris, and he collapsed next to me. I sat up to accommodate him, the dog jumping up to join us too, and placed both my feet in his lap. Chris kneaded the arches of my feet with his chilled but slowly warming hands before reaching forward to pick up his own mug. "We should do this every year," he said quietly, before taking a sip. He sounded unsure, like he was testing the waters. His eyes, framed by those long, long lashes, were bashful when he added, I'd really like that, if that would work for you. I nodded slowly and then faster. Come here, I said, leaning forward to cup his face, his beard the perfect combination of coarse and smooth. In a week, away on a distant set, the beard would be gone, and I wanted to memorize its feel beneath my fingertips. It's already working for me, I said. Everything works.
Hot chocolate.
Wow. That's a traditional winter drink.
I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Those are our drabbles for
Yeah.
this week, this season finale.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed them.
We hope you did.
Of course, there'll be a poll up on our Twitter account at ThirstAidKit for you to vote which one you like better. But, you know, like Bim frequently says, we're all winners.
All of us.
We want to thank Chris Evans for his inspiration.
Shout out to you and the shelling jacket I placed on you in my fiction, Chris. Thank you very much.
Shout out to you and your beard.
And you can email us your own versions of Chris, or your fics, or your drabbles, please, at thirstaidkit@buzzfeed.com. Just send us a little email. Nothing too long, although, listen, it's a season finale. Do what you want. Do what your heart tells you to do. Send us your Chris Evans fanfic, and we will delight in reading all of it until our eyes are bleeding with all the lust. So do that, please. We truly appreciate every single drabble that's been sent in this season.
Absolutely. Thirst Aid Kit is produced by Eleanor Kagan, Julia Furlan, and Agaranesh Ashagre, with additional editing by Meg Kramer.
Our music is by Tanya Morgan, and you can find Nichole and I on Twitter at TNWhiskeyWoman, that's whiskey with an E, and Bimadew, that's BIMADEW.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, please head to Apple Podcasts and rate and review the show. It helps other people discover it, and we love to hear what you thought about the episodes, and we just love getting all the praise from you guys.
Yes, we do. So email us any praise and or MacArthur Genius grants to thirstaidkit@buzzfeed.com. We also want to give a massive thank you to Mr. Christopher Evans, who graced us with his presence, was very much a game sort.
Yeah.
And let us ask him about what everyone thinks about him, and was honest and open and kind and funny and great. So thank you, Chris. We appreciate you.
And again, thank you to our listeners out there, our little thirst buckets. We could not have made it this far without you. It's been an incredible ride, and we're so excited to be back in your ears very, very soon.
Yes, and before we get back in your ears, you might even see us with your eyes. So look out for our live show episode next month. And if you are so inclined, you can actually stream the live show live as it is happening on February 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can do that by going to thegreenspace.org, and that's green spelled GREENE. In 2018, we cannot wait to bring you more Thirst Aid Kit. So please, to keep posted on when our new season will air and so on and so forth, follow us on all of the things. You can find us on Twitter, where we are Thirst Aid Kit. You can find us also on Tumblr, where we are Thirst Aid Kit Podcast.tumblr.com.
And until you hear from us again, until you see us again, make sure you stay thirsty, lust out loud, be proud about who you love and who you thirst after. There's no shame in desire. Remember that.
Lean into your thirst.
Lean into your thirst. I like that.
Thank you. Apologies to Sheryl Sandberg. We've reappropriated Lean In, and I think that's the correct thing to do. A lot can happen when you actually take a chance. A lot can happen when you just say what you want. Say it with your whole chest.
Mm-hmm. Shoot your shot in 2018. Yes. Go for what you know.
Yes.
Go for what you don't know.
Hey.
Go for what you want to know. Oh, hey. We love y'all. Bye.
All jokes aside, this episode is very special.
We have no particular rhythm right now. We just want to be like,
We're just grunting out of time. Just It feels good.
Pie or cake?
Pie.
What kind of pie?
I'm probably going to say apple.
Okay.
That's
All
classic
right.
American. We'll go with it.
You seem so disappointed with that. Is that not what you were hoping for? Tell you what, blueberries a close second.
There you go. That's the correct answer.
Cherry's in there too.
Okay.
Cherry's in there somewhere, but sometimes it's a little too sharp.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I guess you can't describe a food as sharp.
No,
but I
you
guess
can.
No, you
sometimes
can.
you have cherry pie, and it's too sharp.
Well, with your apple pie, are you one of those people who eats cheese with the apple pie?
God, Jesus Christ, no. No way. No, get some ice cream on there, and we got a deal.